Hello, my name is Cece Garrett, and I am a specialist who works with individuals and families impacted by hoarding disorder. On my website, I have an Ask Me Anything button, and I encourage individuals to send a message and say, Hey, I've got a question. And so I recently received one, and so I'm going to read it to you and then I'm going to respond. So the message reads, Hello, what do you have to say to people who may have hoarding tendencies, who have difficulty letting go of things, and yet their home has run out of space for any of these reasons? And I'm going to list these reasons. There's 10 options here, different thoughts. One, their things have been loyal and given good service and should be kept and appreciated. Two, their things need to be protected by the person and are likely to be harmed if let go. Three, they like their things. Four, their things are meaningful, joy bringers, and or beautiful. Five, their things provide reminders of good times and are helpful memory holders and prompters. Six, their things provide a feeling of safety. Seven, they might need their things after they let them go, and they may not be able to be replaced, or they'd be too expensive to replace, and or replacements might not be as good of quality. Eight, keeping more and consuming less is healthier for the environment and is less wasteful. There was a note here that we're not talking about trash or spoiled food, empty food containers, unfixable items, just simply that keeping the things is better for the environment. 9, all things have consciousness and should be taken care of and not abandoned. 10, things have human-like qualities and emotions. This is a really great question, and perhaps my answer is going to seem, well, I'm just going to tell you, it's going to seem off base. When we're talking to someone about our concerns about the condition of their home and how many things are in the house, when they come up with these responses, the reality is these are actually very typical responses that any of us might have if we felt pressed to let go of items. Now, that said, a lot of them are values, but values aren't in and of themselves wrong. So say this person was sitting down with me here in my office, and this was their reason that they didn't think there was a problem, that these things were all true. And I would agree. Those things are true for them. And then I would lean into, tell me a little bit more about the things that you're not being able to do right now. What are the things that you wish you could do? Tell me about what's happening for you. So I'm leaning into relationship with them because I know that for some individuals who have hoarding behaviors, there's a lack of insight or nausea, a big fancy word that just basically says they can't see it. It's something that occurs in other disorders such as bipolar and schizophrenia. Now, that's not to say that everybody with hoarding behaviors has this lack of insight. Many have some insight. Some even have pretty decent insight, just feel powerless to act on what they know they need to do. When we look at schizophrenia, a gentleman named Xavier Amador wrote a book many years ago called I'm Not Sick, I Don't Need Help. And his own experience having a brother with schizophrenia who didn't see there being a problem and thus didn't want to engage with the medication and the treatment that was necessary to improve his quality of life and keep him safe and healthy. And so Amador went through and tried to figure out how do we help someone who doesn't see there being a problem? And this is again where I know that this feels like, Cece, you're ignoring the fact that the house is a problem. Not at all. What we want to do is we want to focus on what they see as a need and work with them around that. We want to protect our relationship because here's the thing. You come into my house tonight and start challenging me to get rid of things, to tell me there's a problem where I don't see a problem. I'm going to get defensive. You would get defensive if that happened. And so we don't ignore the health and safety issues. We just take a different route to become a partner. So Dr. Amador introduced this acronym called LEAP. Listen. So we listen to what they're saying. We empathize. We're not ignoring the fact of what we see, which is that the clutter is a significant issue. It's creating problems for them. It's a safety issue, even in a situation where maybe there's not what we call dirty or wet hoarding, so not a squalid condition. So we're empathizing with what they're seeing, their concerns. What are their concerns? Why are they upset? A lot of people tell me, I think you're just going to come in and get rid of everything. Oof. I certainly wouldn't invite you into my home if I felt like you were going to drive the bus and get rid of all my things. I can empathize with that's how you feel. And then A is agree. So then once we recognize what their goal is, we can agree with them. And then final P is partner. So that we're partnering with the person to help them. That may not mean that we are doing the work. And to be clear, people working on hoarding behaviors, downsizing, making decisions, increasing insight, it's a very slow process. But we can become cheerleaders without taking control or becoming argumentative. Because here's the thing. Most of us don't want to be around people who are argumentative. And I'm going to guess, although I don't know exactly who sent this message, I'm going to guess that this person matters to you deeply. I know this because you took the time to send this message and to ask me for how I would handle this. And so how I would handle this is I would say, I have some concerns. I absolutely hear you. These things have value. These things are important. It would be wasteful to get rid of them. I also hear that there's some things that you're not able to do that you need help with. How can I start that with you? How can I join you? Now, that's not to say that that's always going to work, but it's a great place to start if that's your goal. And I believe that, writer, whoever you are, that was your goal. It's challenging to say that. The other piece, which is not from Amador, but is my own, is I like to think as I have these conversations with somebody, we all have something about ourselves that we're just not really proud of. Maybe we're even ashamed of. If somebody were going to come to me and present a problem that is probably something I have some awareness and embarrassment, shame around, how would I want them to do that? How would I want them to phrase that, to say that to me? What do I want their body language to be? What do I want their words to be? And then I take that same expression, the body language and the words, into the conversation when I'm having to have a difficult conversation with someone I care about. Thank you so much for your question. And I hope that this is useful to many beyond the original writer. And I'm going to pop the details over here so that you can jump in and send your own question to keep this content moving forward. Thanks again.